പ്രൊഫസറെ തുടങ്ങാറായോ?
തുടങ്ങാം. ജോസഫ് സാർ
പറഞ്ഞു തുടങ്ങാം.
ഓക്കെ.
എല്ലാവർക്കും കേരള പിറവി ആശംസകൾ. A pleasant poetic evening to one and all. We have all linked ourselves into this platform to attend the national webinar series organized by the Department of Malayalam, Maharajas College, Ernakulam, titled Contemporary Talks, Samakalika Prabhashanangal. During these pandemic times of living in isolation, discourses and interactions of this type really keep us free from getting rust. The Department of Malayalam has been serving us with a sumptuous feast of international webinars during all these months. Now we have begun a series of national webinars. Today, we have the second lecture in the series. The first webinar was a talk on postmodern Indian poetry by eminent scholar and academician Professor E.V. Ramakrishnan. We are indeed enriched abundantly by these fruitful opportunities, thanks to the assiduous efforts of the department. Let me now perform the duty bestowed upon me of delivering welcome speech. Our principal, Dr. Matthew George, had consented to be here, but because of some unforeseen issues, he could not be present here. But even though he is absent from this webinar, let me extend a warm welcome to him. He has always shown special interest in the academic pursuits of each department. Today, we are extremely obliged to have a poet and social activist who has really made a signature voice among the world of words in Indian poetry. The famous Indian poet, writing in Bengali, Mandakranta Sen is here with us to talk about her experiences of being a poet. A lover of poetry, I consider this moment as a precious one to extend a soulful welcome to the guest and resource person. On behalf of all the organizers and participants, let me present to you, ma'am, a bouquet of heartful welcome flowers. Poetry, the oldest of the literary genres, is a most enthralling and delightful one. With its mysterious turns and poses and suggestions, poetry always ignites our curiosity. Poets. We are indeed blessed to have a poet himself at the helm of the Department of Malayalam, Professor S. Joseph. He is a notable proud possession of the department as well as the college. He will be presenting the response and observations to the invited talk. With utmost happiness, I invite Professor Joseph to this webinar. Propelled by the poetic interest, the participants of this webinar are eagerly awaiting the words of the guest. This platform becomes all the more meaningful with the active presence of the audience. On behalf of the organizers, let me extend a warm welcome to all the participants, including the faculty, research scholars, and students from various colleges, and also from other departments of this college. Hearty welcome to all the faculty and students of the host department, especially Dr. T.M. Matthew, the coordinator of this webinar series, Dr. Sri Lakshmi S.K., Professor Lakshmi Priya R.S., and Dr. Thanya S. Panikir, the co-coordinators. Once again, I extend a warm welcome to all those who are present in this meet. It's time for us now to listen to the resource person. Before we move on, let me request the august audience to please mute your microphones. You may please put your questions in the comment box for a discussion after the talk. I deem it a great privilege for having got an opportunity to introduce a vibrant poet to talk on a journal of my journey as a poet on this occasion. Let me unfurl a brief bio note of the Honorable Speaker. Mandakranda Sen, born in 1972 in Kolkata, is an Indian poet writing in Bengali. She studied in a medical college but quit before the final exams and became a full-time writer. Her first collection of poems, Hriday Abhatyame, got Ananda Puraskar. She has 24 collections of poetry, 11 novels, 3 collections of short stories, 2 collections of articles, and more till date. She is writing weekly columns in a Bengali daily, addressing various issues regarding women. She has bagged many awards, including Ananda Puraskar, Kritibas Puraskar, Sunil Gangopathyay Smriti Samman, Kalpataru Samman, and Sahitya Academy Golden Jubilee Award, which he returned, protesting against infamous Dadri lynching incident and murder of 3 rationalist Indian authors in 2015. She also sporadically writes in English and is an avid translator. Her work has been translated in various languages, and she has 2 collections of poems in English and in German. She co-edits a distinguished Bengali literary little magazine, Brishtiti. Of late, she is busy playing the role of a social activist. With utmost respect and happiness, let me invite the poet to speak on a journal of my journey as a poet. Over to you, ma'am.
Namaskar, namaste. Thank you very much for having me here in this prestigious platform. I'm very glad and grateful to be here. The things I'm going to speak about is a very personal journey of a poet, of myself, of me. This is actually a journey of a poet is word to word, sentences after sentences, poems after poems. Every step is a journey ahead. So you can understand, you will be getting my point when I recite some of my own poems, actually my poems speak about themselves and speak about myself as well, because my poems are what I am, my heart, my brain, my everything, my commitment, my imaginations, everything reflects, not reflects, everything is basically my poem. So I have emphasized more on reciting some of my poems so that you can have an idea of my word to word, sentence to sentence, that journey. It will capture the whole of the thing what I'm talking about, going to talk about. So I will say something, and as an example we'll read one of my poems so that you can understand, you can realize what the journey actually is, what is it like. So let me start. Okay, so I'm here to talk about my journey as a journal of journey as a poet. So let me start from the very beginning. Let me read it out because of the tight schedule, I have to write it down. Other than I could be talk more or less, whatever. So I have written a speech, a paper, and I'm going to read it out to you. So I just said I started very young. When I was less than 4 years old, my mother was, and still she is, a literature lover. Like she adored Tagore and Nazrul Islam and Jasimuddin and other poets. But she especially, like all the Bengalis, had a very special liking, special love for Tagore. So in our childhood, she used to celebrate Tagore's birthday on 25th of Boishakh, the first month of Bengali calendar, with much zeal. Evening guests used to flock into our homes in numbers. Relatives, neighbors, friends, everybody was more than welcome. But there was a condition for for everyone. Each one of them would have to perform something related to Tagore and his works, like reciting his poems, singing his songs, reading out a chapter from his prose, like that. That turned out to be a very wonderful, very eventful evening. A great event. In such a Tagore centenary, when I was less than 4 years old, an interesting thing happened. My brother was 10, he is 6 years older than me. He did a great job. He drew a profile of Tagore on a sketchbook. It was very good, actually. Those big eyes, sharp nose, those beards and mustache. So it was as good as you would not have to write Rabindranath Tagore below the picture. My mother was very happy. She pasted the picture on a piece of pasteboard and kept it beside the photo of Tagore. The photo that was decorated with sandalwood and with a garland and everything. Light was a pradeep in front of his photo. So that was the main photo, and my mother placed my brother's brother's painting beside that main photo of Tagore, and I started whimpering. I myself did not realize why, but now I know that was sheer and only simply sheer envy. My brother would get so much attention. I thought his work will be praised, and I am a good for nothing stupid girl. My mother realized this, as she did and does every time in my life. My mother, she came to my rescue. She came up with an idea. She said to me, well, your brother has done a great job, so why don't you do something like that? So I was more than ready, but did not have any idea what I could do. My mother said, your brother had painted a picture. Why don't you write a poem? I was excited, but then again I did not have a clue how to do that. My mother said, okay, let us do it like that. I will tell the first line of the poetry, and then you say the next line. So I readily accepted the offer. Me and my mother wrote a poem together. I just remember now I have lost the whole poem, but I remember the first two lines. It was like my mother said, "Ajke tomar janmo dine gaichi tomar gan." I will explain it into English later. She said in Bangla, "Ajke tomar janmo dine gaichi tomar gan." I took just a few seconds, then said, "Jara jara gaiche nako shunche tete kan." Loosely translated in English, it's like, today on your birthday, we are singing your song, she said. Then I said, they're listening earnestly to them who are not singing along. In Bengali, the meter and the rhyming was quite perfect. My mother was so happy, she was in tears. She was telling everybody about my feat. Thus, in the sacred day of Kavi Guru's birthday, I met my destiny, that is to become a poet. Though later I tried my hand in prose as well, but I like to be called a poet before everything. I think mainly and more than anything else, I am a poet. So since my childhood, I started writing poetry, but more than that, I was an avid reader. But back then, I read mainly prose, like short stories and novels, etc. But I used to write poetry. I wrote in school magazine as usual. students do that. Every student does. Besides that, I had a notebook full of poems. I lost it like my younger days are gone. The book is also gone. Then came a time when I started writing profusely. I studied higher secondary in Lady Brabourne College. I used to carry only my notebook of poetry with me. And nothing else, no books, no class notes whatsoever, nothing. I became quite famous as a poet in the college campus. So my friends liked my poems very much. Even the whole Bengali department did so. My friends and teachers would take my notebook home and kept it for days. I should mention one of my professors, Mrs. Mahashita Mukhopadhyay. She was a great inspiration for me. Can you hear me? Hello?
Jomol, please.
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, can I go on?
Yes, of course, of course.
Okay. It was like we were in love. She loved me so much, I was overwhelmed. Even after I left college, I went to visit her quite often. I used to meet other teachers in Bengali department as well. They were so encouraging and supportive. Every time we met, they would say, "Are you still writing? Please never quit writing, okay?" So after that, then I entered NRS Medical College to study medicine. I became famous again because of my songs. I used to write the lyrics, put on tunes, and sang it myself. They became huge hits in college campuses. Then I quit studying medicine amidst the final MBBS exam. I got mixed bag of reaction from every corner. Most of them were mock or real solace, profound regret, endless annoyance. But I had my strong reasons. After passing school, I wanted to study literature, but my family pressure forced me to take science stream. They always said you can always change from science to arts, but never from arts to science. So I had to take the science stream. So after passing higher secondary examination, I was again forced to sit for joint entrance exam. That is the gateway to study medicine or engineering. Joint entrance exam, before which somewhat like a protest strike. I never touched a book, but still I managed to get through both the streams, that is medicine and engineering. And again, the same thing happened. I had to study medicine. I did not know where my muse was waiting for me, calling my name. I didn't know. I didn't have any idea, but it was somewhere there in my life. I was a very disobedient student, and my muse was laughing somewhere in me. When after crossing every hurdle quite simply, I took my final decision during my final examination. During the Viva, I completed the written part, and during Viva of gynecology, I just quit the examination hall and never went back. So people still ask me why I did such a blunder. I answered them, whenever I tried to take literature, I had to do things against my wish. So I locked all the doors with my own two hands so that I could do nothing but writing. And my destiny was happy that disobedient girl got immediate attention. Before that, I had a short stint with Wars Times. I worked as a freelance journalist for a newspaper for a year or more or less a year. That was a time of indefinite future. Then I came in touch with a literary circle which took out literary little magazines called a magazine called Parbantar. They encouraged me a lot and published a bunch of my poems in their journal. Then they organized a poetry reading session, and I was asked to take part in it. That was my first poetry reading session. I was excited. I was nervous. I remember the day till now and will forever. I recited 3 poems and the response was overwhelming. Everybody came to congratulate me. I never thought it could happen to me. I remember I could not sleep all night. In Parmantar, I met a writer, Kunal Kishore Ghosh. He was instrumental in my life in future. He was a short story writer himself and was an acquaintance of Joy Goswami. I think you know the name, heard the name Joy Goswami, a stalwart Bengali poet. He always insisted me to meet Joy Goswami and show him my poems. Kunal insisted that I should meet Joy Goswami. I would not listen to him because I never gathered enough courage, enough confidence to go to him with my trash. But Kunal went on pursuing me. One night at 10:30, he called me up and said, "Listen, Joy is home. I just told him about you. Call him right now. He is interested to talk to you." I felt like falling from the sky. Joy Goswami, what has Kunal done? This is crazy. How can I talk to him and that too at this hour of night? I meekly objected and Kunal reiterated, "I say call him now and tell me what he says." I could not disobey him. With shaking hand, I called up Joy. It was 11 at night then. In a sleepy voice, he said, "Hello." Oh my God, was he asleep? Timidly, I said, "Hello, am I talking to Joy Goswami, sir?" Again, in a sleepy voice, he answered, "Yes." I said, "My name is Mandakranta Sen. Sorry to call you so late, sir. Actually, Kunal Ghosh asked me to call you." "Okay, sir, may I call you tomorrow? I'm sorry I called at this hour of night." Immediately his voice changed. It was like he was excited and interested to talk to me. He said, "Oh, you are the girl Kunal was talking about. He said you're writing well. I want to read your poems. Come to my house tomorrow morning. Do you know where I live?" "No, sir, I will ask Kunal." "No need, I'm telling you." He gave me his address. Again, that was a sleepless night for me. Tomorrow I'm going to meet Joy Goswami, an icon of Bengali poetry of our times. What do I have? What do I have to show him? All my trashes? He will throw them out. He will throw me out too for wasting his time. What shall I do? I was blaming Kunal in my mind. What a situation he created for me. But I have to go tomorrow because it was Joy Goswami himself who wanted to meet me. The next day I got ready to meet the great poet. I was so afraid and nervous. It was difficult for me to gather the strength of mind, but then I had to go. I took 2 of my poetry notebooks with me, knowing fully well he would not be able to read even one line of it. I pressed the calling bell. Kaveri Di, his wife, opened the door. I said, "Hello, ma'am. Joy Goswami sir asked me to come and visit him. My name is Mandakranta." It seemed Kaveri Di was quite accustomed with young aspiring poets coming and visiting Joy Goswami. She said, Come on in. Joy is in his room. Go there." I looked around. Which one was his room? Then I saw the poet of my dreams was sitting on the floor with books around him. He was engrossed reading a book. With shaking legs, I went to the door and said, "Sir." He looked at me with questions in his eyes. He answered, "Yes, who are you?" "My name is Mandakranta, sir. I called last night. You told me to come today." "Ah, so you are Mandakranta. Come inside. Kunal told me highly about you. Have you brought your poems along?" "Yes, sir, I have." "Then give it to me and sit there." I again with trembling hand gave him my notebooks. He picked one and started reading. I waited with my head down. I can't say what was going on in my mind. I waited and waited with my head down, waiting to be thrown out. But Joy Goswami went on reading. Then on an open page, he put his finger and said, "You were born to write poetry and you have to go on writing." It was like I could not believe my ears. What did he just say? Was it a joke? Was he kidding? No, he reiterated, mind it, you will do nothing but go on writing, okay? I shook my head in disbelief, but it seemed he was quite serious. He said, you can go now. I will keep your notebooks. Call me up after stays, say 1 week. I came back home with my head reeling. What has happened to me just a while ago? Was it a dream or was I daydreaming? Then started the biggest story of my life as a poet. I became an earnest and devoted disciple of him. He was my guru. He encouraged me beyond my belief. I thought, did I deserve it all? He used to edit my poems. That my journey as a poet began with him reading my poem. Actually, let me read it out. What happened to me? What happened then? He used to edit my poems mercilessly, pen throwing my lines and add or omit words. I was in dilemma. I was kind of disturbed, thinking, why should he edit this poem, my poem, like this? This is the line, or this is the word I wanted to say. Why should he change it like that? But then another half of my head thought there must be some reason. When I would understand why, I would be one step ahead in writing perfect form of poetry. Yes, he taught me the basic science of poetry as well as encouraged me to write on various subjects. I learned a lot from him. He was, I guess he still is, the god of poetry to me. He was the editor of a poetry in a renowned periodical of Bengali, Desh. It was a great honor to have one's poetry published in that magazine. One day, Joy Goswami told me, get 6 of your poems ready, it would be published in Desh. I was again in utter disbelief. My poems, 6 of them in Desh. He also asked me to think of a common heading of that bunch. I came up with a few. One of those was Hriday Abadhome, meaning my heart is an unruly girl. My heart is an unruly girl. He selected this one. My poems were published, and the rest was Dream Come True, or more than that, Dream Come True, or more than that. My first book of poetry with the same name came up next year, and it won the most coveted and prestigious prize for literary work in Bengali, Ananda Puruskar. It was really about an unruly heart of a daring girl who says, my heart is an unruly girl. My heart is an unruly girl. Do not teach her any lesson. Books and texts are all torn up. Rubbing with her spittle, she is expunging her deep destiny. On the blue grammar pages, scribbling boys' names, even pictures. Oh my heart is an unruly girl. Come on, how will you punish her? Try. But there was a story inside a story. I did not make the script of my book myself. Joy Goswami with some of my friends did that for me. But when it was about to be published, I was devoured by deep depression. I did not quite figure out why. It was like everything that was happening around me was beyond my control. I was supposed to be very happy and proud with that, but my mind was in utter disarray. Like that famous Tagore song, this jewel necklace on me looks so bad. To wear it, I feel pain. To tear it, I feel sad. The proof of the script lay on my table. I could not touch it, like it was alive. It was alive like a snake, which will bite me the moment I would touch it. People said a lot of words regarding my poem. Some were all praises, some criticized me harshly. They who thrashed it said it was sweet like sugar, nothing else. And some said it's all about just form, rhymings, and meters. I was puzzled. Is writing in meters and rhyming is so wrong? I had no clue. I was new in the poetry arena. I was so depressed, my family decided to take me somewhere distant from this hubbub of this big city for a holiday. we went to Bokhali on sea. There was another sea beach near Bokhali named Fraserganj. We went there too. While coming back from Fraserganj to Bokhali, it was late at night. We could not get a van rickshaw, the only vehicle available between two places. We were somehow worried, very much worried and anxious. Then, from nowhere, a van rickshaw appeared, and the puller asked, "Are you looking for a van, sir?" So relieved, we immediately, without a word, boarded his van. Now the story really began. The driver started to recite poems to us. Poems of Tagore, Nazrul Islam, Desimuddin, Shukanta Bhattacharya. Those are pretty common, but we were taken aback. A poetry lover, rickshaw puller. Poetry lover, rickshaw puller. We were speechless. He went on reciting. I just told a while ago in Kolkata, some seniors were saying that I was writing only velvet bars and love lyrics whose days are gone. But this man told me, "Do you know, Didi, how I remember these beautiful poems? Because they are written in such simple and beautiful verses, so easy rhymings. That's why I remember it and recite it every time I drive my van to amuse my passengers." Carrying us from Bokhali to Fraserganj, he was sweating like anything. In dim moonlight, the sweat looked like melting silver. I got my answer, though later I wrote in free verses without meter and rhyming as well. But whenever I use in meter and rhyming, I remember him. Dipping my nib in his silvery sweat, I write down with coherent confidence. Or no, my muse stands in front of me with the looks of Shanti Shikdar, the rickshaw puller's name, which, shivering inside, somehow I managed to ask. In my speech at Ananda Purushka ceremony, I talked about him. Everybody was amazed and amused. Joy Goswami, my guru, told me to always keep changing that journey from word to word, sentence to sentence, poems to poems, books to books. He once told me, "I will give you my everything I have in poetry to you. Be sure of that." Now I am sure he gave me everything that I have today as a poet. My next book came up next year. The name was Bolo Onno Bhabe, Say It Otherwise. Yes, I changed myself. I still wrote in meters and rhymings which come to me naturally, but my content changed in a way. It was a bit more matured. I did not consciously try to change myself. The change comes naturally. Change came naturally to me. When I wrote poems of my first book, that part of the decade, late 90s, there was a tendency amongst poets of that decade to tell a story inside a poem. A story there inside a poem. I was no exception. I told the story of love affairs in different angles, like an affair between an older man with a younger girl who calls him uncle. Just to give you that example, it's called The Unfaithful. Talk with my mom and dad. I don't have any problem in that. We will talk later. He was so well behaved, but secretly so brave. I know that better. Mom likes you. Dad considers you as his brother too. But am I really your niece? Why didn't Auntie come? If you want, you can tell her some, but never tell how well I kiss. To open the main gate, we will go down late and become crazy in caress, like suddenly a scorpion bites, flares up a fiery light under the dark staircase. Let there be dark or glare, how easily in there my face fits into your chest. Aunt and Mitali, are they all right? Do they cause any plight? Come and make any test. I will go to your office at the time we fixed. I'll go to your office at the time we fixed. Then we'll forget down and above. I'll climb the monument and shout with no abashment, Uncle Indro is my love. So, another one, do you know how to swim? I can give up wearing jeans. Those days, now also I prefer to wear jeans and t-shirts. That's my trademark dress. I can give up wearing jeans. If you say so, by all means, I will easily be another woman. The girl who loves you, she can never be with unoiled short hair who told someone somewhere, well, I will be unknown to me from tomorrow. If you be with myself at your feet, I will undress and spread out my blue sari. Take it. I will blow in the wind all my manly quirk. I believe it will work if I can become a stream. Boy, do you know how to swim? So, these poems were huge hits amongst readers. I also wrote a story inside a poem of an older home tutor falling in love with a student 10 years younger than her. The poems of desperate love against all the norms of society. That was the main theme of my poetry of that time, but I got rid of these kinds of subject matters in my next book. It became more poetry, I guess. Some examples. Coming. You came. You came. After you were gone, I hardly can believe that. On the stairs, your footsteps look like open wounds. Sound of shutting the door, and be well, I mourn. You came, you came. I become very calm. Calmly imagine you came, you came. Did you really come to me? Sin. I met him again. I knew it would happen one day or other. Not looking at him, I kept my face smiling. Not looking at me, he kept his face annoyed. Maybe he remembered nothing. Maybe there is no sin as big as remembrance. Civilization. In between you and my love, there grew a civilization of dams. In between you and my love, there grew a civilization of dams so delicate to touch, it can be shattered into ruins if we only sigh together. Suicidal. Ask me whether in the pages of the drowned notebook, even today, poems are being scribbled. That notebook, which nobody will be able to decode ever. Ask me, how does it feel to get into the water? Why did you do that? There is only one answer to all these questions. There is only one answer to all these questions, that you would never know it. You will never ever know it. So there were much more things I wanted to say other than plain love. I had to give them space in my head. There were various poetic languages to accommodate. It's like voices. Thus, multiple voices speak within my head. Someone says, there's multiple voices speak within my head. Someone says, today I want to take some rest. A second voice replies, I'm not impressed. Third voice speaks softly, let me have a walk alone. The fourth chips in, why don't you have anybody to call upon? I listen to them. I listen to them with some kind of unease. Do I have to pick up anything from these? I feel weird, but I can't do anything. Instead, a fifth one joins the voice brigade. Let me read out some more poems from this book. This is called Dislike. I know, I'm not of your choice. Bear with me still. Will you not let me stand before you? I want to keep my eyes down. I want to see how many days it is since those border-torn nails were cut. Was the nail cutter razor sharp? In the moon of your heart toenail, there is blood, moonlight, blood. From the toenail, no, not only from that nail, from your feet, I'll bring out your apathy. I will lick your indifference with my tongue. I know, there will be some discomfort in this. Bear with me still. Is my tongue sharper than a nail cutter? In that book, I wrote a poem in a meter that looks like meter Mondakranta, the meter in which you all know Mahakobi Kalidasa wrote his Meghduttam. A senior poet was all praise, saying that it was perfect Mondakranta. At that time, every Sunday, we the poets, both senior and young, used to gather at Shankho Ghosh house, Shankho Ghosh, the great poet, Bengali poet, Shankho Ghosh's house for an adda. There, a friend of mine told me, "Hey, my friend, that poem is not in Mondakranta at all. He who said it's wrong. He who said it is wrong." I was annoyed. I never was very keen on writing in any particular meter. I wrote in whichever form it came to me. But in Mondakranta, be it Mondakranta or not, who cares? I told my friend, "Oh, forget it. Just tell me, can it be called a poem or not? That's all." Shankho Babu, with his calm and composed manner, told me, "No, that's not at all. That's not all. You have to learn the meter, especially when your name is Mondakranta." I kept mum. He again told me, "Do you want to learn?" I readily agreed. He taught us, two friends, the Bengali version of famous Sanskrit meter, and then said, "Though I must tell you, there is not enough example of true Mondakranta in Bengali. When one tries his hands, it becomes an exercise of the meter only, not a true poem. A poetry in the truest sense cannot be written in Bengali, in Mondakranta. You can try, but keep it in your mind." A miracle happened. I thought, why is it impossible to write perfect Mondakranta in perfect poem in Bengali? Is Bengali incapable of that? No, it is not. It can't be. We have to prove it. It was like we were crazy. We heard Mondakranta everywhere, all around us. I rushed back home to sat with pen and paper. Mondakranta came gushing from my knee. I wrote 14 poems in one go. I called Shankho Babu asking for an appointment. He asked us to come next Thursday. With trembling heart, with sheets of paper, we reached his house. I was kind of sure that something must be wrong in my understanding. There must have been an error. Otherwise, how can we so easily wrote in this meter which was not meant to be possible in Bengali? We gave our papers to Shankho Babu meekly. He told, "Wait here, I'm coming. Wait until my reading is over." He went to another room with the papers. We waited like whole of our lifetime. Then he entered the room and told in his quiet manner, "Wonderful poems, perfect Mondakranta. I'm feeling like jumping in joy." We were shivering. He went on saying, "In Bengali poetry, this is a historic incident." We could not believe our ears, me and Srijato Bandopadhyay. Later, our poems in Mondakranta were published in Desh. They published a bunch of 14 Mondakranta altogether, my 14 Mondakranta poems altogether. I could not possibly translated my Mondakranta poems into English, but just to give you a feel of that meter in Bengali, let me just read out one of my Mondakranta in Bangla, in original. যেই তোর ওই চোখ এ চোখে রেখেছিস অমনি চলকাই কথার খেই আর তুই বলছিস ওভাবে তাকানোর কিচ্ছু নেই আর কিছুই নেই। ভরপুর সন্ধ্যায় জমাটি আয়োজন, আড্ডা মুশকুল বসার ঘর, ঘরময় লোকজন, আলোতে ভাসমান চূর্ণ উল্লাস কলস্বর, সব্বাই ছলছল সকলে বেসামাল, ভাসতে ভাসতেই কেমন চুর, তার মধ্যেই এক কুয়াশা ভেজা ক্ষেত, ঝাপসা আলপথ অনেক দূর, সেই ক্ষেত তোর চোখ, সেই ক্ষেত তোর চোখ, যে ছুকে ফসলের স্বপ্ন ডাক দেয় অজান্তেই, আর তুই বলছিস এভাবে তাকানোর কিচ্ছু নেই, আর কিছুই নেই। জল ছবি। মেঘ বৃষ্টির সাজ পরাবো তোকে আজ, রুক্ষ রোদ্দুর আমার হোক মল্লার বান্ধব, তোমাকে দেব সব বজ্র বিদ্যুৎ মারাত্মক, উন্মুখ সন্ধান করেছে দেহ প্রাণ, অঙ্কুরোদ্গম অপেক্ষায়, আজ সেই বৃষ্টির আদরে এ শরীর করবে সঙ্গম পাগল প্রায়, উদ্দাম উন্মাদ ধুয়েছি অবসাদ, শুষ্কতার কাল অতীত দূর, ছাইয়ার অঙ্গার যা ছিল তা আমার, তোর এ উত্তাল সমুদ্র, প্রান্তর প্রস্তর তৃষিত চরাচর, দীর্ঘ বঙ্কিম কঠিন পথ, তৃষ্ণার অঞ্চল পেরিয়ে এসে জল ছুঁচ্ছে অন্তিম ভবিষ্যৎ। So it was like this in Bengali Mandakranta. After that, it was a struggle for me to come out from the grip of Mandakranta. Everything I hear, everything I write tended to be Mandakranta. It was harder to free myself from it than to write in it, but somehow I managed to break free. And now I can write in this meter whenever it comes naturally, but my poetry is free from any particular form's shackle. Besides Mandakranta, I have also written in another Sanskrit meter, Malini. Actually, I love to play with the form of poems. Other than rhyming in verse, I love to play with phonetic rhyming as well. I love to write sonnets, which are critically acclaimed by readers and academicians. I successfully tried writing patterns as ABC, CBA or ABCD, DCBA, this kind of rhyming and meter. As an example, I place before you a poem written in this form. This is called Full Moon, an untimely one. Ever since that afternoon, even the pale moon looked to be lost in a trance. She, who had stopped menstruating from the 8th day of previous dark fortnight, at the corner of her mouth traces of drug or poison still can be found. What made her think that inside her bloodstream still she could take such a chance? With a faint retching sound, the entire roof was flooded with vomit, moonlight, warm milk, filled her ancient breasts that aren't anymore that round. As you can see in translation as well, I kept the form intact. This I can do in translation from English to Bengali too. I have translated Aga Shahid Ali, Bikram Sheth, Rukmini Bai Nayar into Bengali according to their original form. Lately, I have been writing acrostics in English. Here are some examples. One is for Ma, Anita Sen. Her name is Anita Sen. So this goes like this. Ah, there she comes, always gorgeous as she is. No one on earth is like her. The breeze is blowing around me like her breath. Up above, the sky is boundless as her love, and her arms are like branches of a shade tree. So secured I am, and I am born free. Eternally she loves me all the way. Nobody knows, still in her amniotic fluid, I swear. Another one, it's for one of my friends, Pallab Shaha. Past is a stream of unworldly dreams. past is a stream of unworldly dreams, and I am unworthy of that, it seems. Like a bird in the brink of the day, lost in the dusk sky, goes astray. All through the night I dream of the dusk, but no one is there whom I can ask something or anything to get a reply. Are my wings now forgetting to fly? How can I, tell me, forget the past? An unworldly flight is what I get at last. These are written straight, originally in English. The last one in acrostics is for Shubhradi. She is also a good friend of mine, Shubhra. Sometimes silence is more than what I say. Unlike the words, it's nurtured in my heart to stay. But we think that we have to express what we feel. Have we really? But I don't buy it still. Realizing this, I keep quiet by choice. And I know my silence is my voice. Now let us go back to the content. After Ananda Purushkar, it was like anything and everything I write was supposed to be published in Desh and published as a book from Ananda Publishers, the biggest publishing house in Bengali. But nothing matters to me more than my own principles. How and why, I'll say. So to say, during the infamous Gujarat riot, we all remember the horrible days. Desh, along with other stalwart poets, invited me to write long welcome songs for monsoon, rainy season. I was surprised. I was stunned. When the western part of our country was going through incessant bloodshed and massacre, how can in the East the merciless ignorance take such a subject for writing? First of all, just after getting the letter, I decided to refuse. Then it occurred to me that I could mold the subject, give it a twist, and I could write about blood rain in Gujarat. This I did. My blood-smeared muse provoked me to do that. In a long poem, I talked about the carnage where humans killed humans inhumanly, women were brutally raped in front of their family, rain-soaked Bengal was transcribed as blood-soaked Gujarat. I wrote in the first stanza of that long poem like this. This year, rain came with a cursed stride. This year, rain came with a cursed stride. Its face is covered with darkness. I stand at the window with destitute and fright. At the western horizon, just like the refugee camp, cloud is like a mist. And I ended this long poem with these words, a voyager. Oh dear voyager, remember this commandment. From today to the inevitable end in the whole of future, a sunless season will devour this country. What I meant is that only you would desire sunrise, rest nocturnal creatures. You, without fate, be aware of this cursed calamity, and then keep your self-identity safe inside your skull's lid, in the places where your sacred blood will come down pouring as rain. There, let future sow a new civilization's seed. Soon your body will be smashed by an echelon formed like a lotus. Before that, in this wet ground, with your own hands, plant your heart, your liver, your eyes, fallen limbs, which taught us to hope they will sprout someday in a season of light in this land. Thus I saw beyond my small self and I was shocked. There are so many things to write about, to shout about. Violence and aggression are there in every layer and in every level of life. When I started young, I used to write about love and estrangements. Then when my poetry took turn, people labeled me as feminist writer. Yes, in a way I am. Let me give you some examples. The Witch. She who writes poetry in the middle of the night, with her hair undone is a witch. She who writes poetry in the middle of the night with her hair undone is a witch. After everyone's asleep, she soaks in the clear moonlight on a netherworld's roof beyond anyone's reach. Secretly she roasts, then eats the pulpy sadness plucked from the crown of her head, climbs up her throat. No, not in a lyric of love and caress, rather an acidic belch like moon instead. As soon as it dawns, she conceives the sun, getting to the full-blown advanced stage by noon. Bathing with her young dad, she beats up the water in fun, a young woman struck by the moon. Left and right. Don't want to call, still, please wait a bit. Don't want to call, still, please wait a bit. Worship hall to your right, to the left is a red light street. Which one do you desire? Think, man, think real hard. Here are two worlds smeared with menstrual blood. Don't want to leave you, but that's the inevitable course. Altar of goddess to the right, to the left, a colony of whores. Where do you desire to go? Think, man, think, and tell me, where did you find your blood-smeared happiness's key? Don't wanna tell you, yet for truth's sake, just let me tell, you have heaven on your right, on your left, well, you have got hell. You think you can manage both the sides, very smart. You think you can manage both the sides, very smart. I am your goddess, man, believe me, I am your tart. The sari. On the floor in that room, the sari lay in a mess. On the floor in that room, the sari lay in a mess. The young woman was so witless, leaving even that at midnight she stepped out of the door. There, outside, lay an indefinite field evermore. She thought rather than being sold every night, one day, rowing down the darkness, she might reach the wharf far away from this dark pit. Woman's life is all about drifting about, and she knew it. Though she was a stupid girl, darkness was never her boat. At every single turn, the river too strangled her throat. To drift along, one must know how to swim. To drift along, one must know how to swim. But she hadn't even learned to float. What a whim. The inevitable happened. As soon as she unmoored the raft, the inevitable happened. As soon as she unmoored the raft, the primeval world never moved. From nowhere, it pierced her bare body right to the hilt. Darkness is not alone. Sacrifice swarmed in the field. After the gang rape, her corpse lay on the bare land. After the gang rape, her corpse lay on the bare land, strangled with her own torn blouse. And 2-3 days later, some people buried her in a hurry. In that old room came a new girl, wrapped in that relinquished sari. Agreement. Everything else apart from this, everything you love to fiddle, this breast, this belly, with a slit-like wound in the middle, where the germs have dug more intricate bends and turns, you may take all its pus and blood. The pain is what I have earned. There are much more. The navel taken off at the middle of the night, the nipples, pubic hair, the armpits where you planted your rights, the skin where your teeth and tongue embossed a blood-red seal. Please tally the balance. See how each stanza fits the bill. Check it out whether there are any flaws left somewhere. Call on witnesses if you want. I will strip naked, I swear. I wouldn't hidden even the smallest neighbors from your last. You will get everything you wish. But the rest that's lying on dust, picking that clean from my own body, mind and soul, fiercely I guard. You can never ever have me as a whole. But still now, I write about complete surrender in love. I love to complete surrender. I love that uh, surrender actually. If I get the right kind of person, I do not see any conflict between these two. This being a feminist and a lover. As many so-called feminists do, if I can only a very stern feminist, how can I write this poem? This is called Men. Men are so good when they are my lovers. Men, they are so good when they are my lovers. Like a crazy storm, they shake me over and over. Touching them is bliss. They also know no sins. They want to die under my feet ever since. Men are so good when they cry in pain, when they turn into sanctified insane. I look for that passion in every man I meet. I nurtured that fascination to write a poem about it. I look for that passion in every man I meet. I nurtured that fascination to write a poem about it. I am surrounded by so many beloved men. I am surrounded by so many beloved men. I love all of them over and over again. Sometimes someone may not reciprocate my feelings, but I won't live without the joy men bring. When I get a man on whose chest I can rest my head and cry, let the feminists be angry with me. I don't buy. And I also write about crime against women. Then my pen became my only weapon, though I know very well it is nothing against huge patriarchal hegemony. I just write hoping some other people would join me someday. Sexual liberation of women is another subject I explore. I'm actually a humanist. We all are conscious people with conscience. We are all humanists. Women are a part and not apart from this mainstream society. Mainstream society. To establish this fact, one has to write relentlessly. I think this is a part of speech in why I write. We all know about horrible incident of Nirbhaya, who was gang raped and brutally murdered in a moving bus in Delhi. I wrote about it. Nirbhaya. Nirbhaya, speak up and tell how much time you took to die, how much time you had to bear ducks and bricks in the hands of those demons. Don't I know you? Don't I know it? Tell me, to you, to me, death has the same response. Too. The bus was moving, carrying an unbelievable fatal fate of someone. No, no one fell under its wheels. Just an ill-fated girl's body was being smashed inside. The wheels were moving, and we too are moving ahead with time. Are we moving really ahead? 3. The girl died twice. The girl died twice, once lost her soul and then her body came to an end. Won't you take to the road in protest, my friend? The girl is not alone. The girl is not alone. She is my country, the whole world. Wherever she is attacked, we will put the thing in a whirl. We will set fire. If we have our consciences, I tell myself, write down your words, your sentences. Write down how much agony is stored there in your heart. No more tears today. Turn around. Have a new start. Oh girl, my grieved sister, raped and murdered, we know you well. Oh girl, my grieved sister, raped and murdered, we know you well. You are not alone, and this is not just your tale, it's our tale. I also write about class struggle from petty bourgeois point of view. This is my misfortune that I am not a proletariat. I write to connect with them. I write poetry about political stance, whatever and wherever my muse bites me like a bug, wishing my writings would be of the people, for the people, and by the people. How about this one? This is called Poems. What is the point of writing poems? These are only misery on pages. What is the point of writing poems? These are only misery on pages, anguished account of our tortured time. But what if I transform them into weapons of rages, where on our forehead angels have written their holy rhymes? No, 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 not angels. These are commitments of us. Take to the roads. Don't sit back in your room. People are dying. There's massive carnage of mass, and I'm just writing poems. For whom? But I know if this can give voice to people anguished, poems and protest will blend with each other, and that's my only wish. Lately, as you just said, I'm said to be an activist too. I'm physically involved in protests against crimes against mankind. I'm a humanitarian. I take part in rallies and agitations and demonstrations for various causes. Physically be there, just not writing poems, but physically be there on the roads. And I also did hunger strike and all, and I write about all these things in social media. My readers in social media mostly know me as a revolutionary poet. I write about communalism, fundamentalism, intolerance in the name of religion, class and caste. So I wrote like this one, a casteist poem. What is my caste? I'm human. What's more? What is my caste? I'm human. What's more? You have your strong muscles. Therefore, you try to beat up us. Okay, do that. We will see how your religion turns you into a brat. We will see what you have learned from your caste. What's your blood smear history, your past. We will change that history. We have the power. Yes, friends, this is the call of the hour. What is religion? What is religion? It's just a plate full of bread and rice. If you want to sell us hatred, you will have to pay the price. If you try to break us in religion's name, you should know we are not to be tamed. Our fight will make you realize win is our ultimate claim. Sorry. I protested when our rulers erected a huge statue of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Remember the poem of Chilean poet Nicanor Parra, who said, USA where liberty is a statue? I echoed his voice. But they are dividing our country in the name of caste, class, religion. They are building statue of unity. What a farce. So I wrote, India where unity is just a statue. What is the point, my friend? Who is this cheater? Who has built this 182 meters? You have erected a statue. Where from the money came? Reasonless child's play? Who is there to blame? Mankind is just a chess piece, but the statue is that huge. Nothing to eat, nowhere to stay. Still we are so amused. Murder, rape, riot, expulsion, everything is there. The dark shadow is longer than the statue, big and bare. You are dividing the country and erecting the statue of unity. You are tearing the nation. Oh, what a pity. In my country, unity is nothing but a statue. In my country, unity is nothing but a statue. We watch. What should I say? There is nothing to say much. Here in this country, people can't bear the cost of their last right. Here in this country, people can't bear the cost of their last right. All we have is 182 meters height. Let us get back some years ago. In 2004, I got another very prestigious award, the Sahitya Akademi Golden Jubilee Award for Young Writers. 5 young writers from all over India were chosen and I was amongst them. I returned it back in protest of infamous Dadri lynching. The Murder of Thinkers and Writers Against Intolerance, M. Kalburgi, Narendra Davulkar, Govind Pansare. All of them were Sahitya Akademi laureates, but not a word from Sahitya Akademi came for nearly 2 months. Protesting against all of this, I returned my award, and believe me, for the first time in my life, I was sad to be first. Yes, I was not only the first but the only one from Bengal who did this. I was painfully amused. Let me tell you one more thing, some more other things. I believe every poem is floating there in the air, in the ether, I can say, or in the stratosphere. Poems are not written, they're already there. He or she who gets to catch hold of this fast, the poem is his or hers. This is the way I think, because I know sometimes a line, maybe the first line or the last line or some line in the middle, somewhere in the middle, comes to me spontaneously. Then I have to search for the rest of it. This is the way I write poems. I do not know about others, but I feel that every poem is there. I just catch hold of them. I have two parallel streams in my head. One is for love, another is for protest. I write personal experiences and expressions with a low voice, which is about me and myself. It can be others as well when they find that we feel alike. Sometimes it can be symbolic, mystical, complicated, but it too can find out its readers. I hope so. I think I believe. Whilst the other stream is strong, loud, and vigorous, which wants to be voice of the mass. It gives words to all the wrongdoings and crimes against humans, against tortures, rapes, murder, carnage. So I write about bloodshed in two different manners. One is, this is called Offering. It goes like this: not even a grain of salt, you only have your wish. Not even a grain of salt, you only have your wish. Cook with your tears, girl. Tear too is salty anguish. Make a full course of menu, a full course of suffering, sour dream, sweet envy. Oh, please don't miss a thing. Keep it to the east, to the south, some lemon to taste. Keep wind to the north, a sleeping oven to the west. Now the ritual is done. Shut all the doors and pray. The time has come, girl. Today is the ultimate day. Don't let him run away from these offerings you have made onto the dish of God. Girl, serve your own bloody head. The other one goes like this. It's another type of voice, another voice of me. Blood, 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 smeared with blood. What a time this is with bright red flood. We have to get over these hard times, but to which way? This is a new moon night, and anguished we say, dark, 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 covered with dark fate. What is in front of us? A closed mighty gate. Who is going to break open this door? Who is going to break open this door? Who will today join the protest more and more? This struggle, my friend, is yours and mine. Darkness can't resist us, for sure we will shine. Today, at last, we have overcome the fear. Today, at last, we have overcome the fear. Struggle is on. Victory is near. So, by now, I got everything beyond my control, but I took control of what I would want to do with this. I need to keep both streams flowing at the same time in my mind. That is my commitment to poetry. Like manifesto. Listen, these writings are for you. Listen, these writings are for you. Oh, my long list of lovers, come, all of you, take to the road with me, so that I can realize, I can't tell when, our love letters have become manifestos. I can do nothing but writing poetry for people, but people love me for that. They consider me their comrade. It's a great honor. This is the call of the hour. I write about love. I still do, but now I write protest too. But days of love will return. People will be liberated from their shackles. A new sunrise of freedom will be there in the horizon of struggle. Let me tell you some poems of mine which transcript this message. This is called My Poems. I know this text may not be considered as a poem. I know this text may not be considered as a poem. Still, I write down the struggle like a warrior all the same. I don't want who I resuscitate by what I write. I don't know. I don't know who I resuscitate by what I write. Still, I wish to write these lines about how people fight. People are struggling with all their hearts till the end. People are struggling with all their hearts till the end to break into the mighty palace of rulers. Oh, my friend, are they my kin? Oh, my pain, you are related to whom? Have you thought about it over ever? Where from your poems bloom? Yes, friend, I have pondered over. This writing is yours, not mine. It can be the weapon of wars to shatter enemy's spine. With that weapon, I do stand by you all the way as I always did. With that weapon, I do stand by you all the way as I always did. Let my poetry become blended with people's breath indeed. Should I write about flowers? Should I write about now flowers, moonlight, and star? My poems are committed to our struggle. Oh, yes, they are. I respond readily to whatever happens within or surrounding me. I respond to love, pain, happiness, tears. I respond to humanity and its violation, and I'm responding to recent cars of pandemic. It is taking so many lives, attacking so many people. I myself is in self-isolation. We do not have a clue what will happen next. These are my responses uh, to this. In the time of pandemic, Kako. Ambulances are running along the road. Ambulances are running into my head. Will that person survive or not? Is that person along the path of his earth completing his last journey to and fro with no address whatsoever? Or not to and fro, just going towards one end? Are all the ambulances of this world of late heading towards only one destination, only death? Inside my head, an address of a horse van is written on the back of Wall's suicide note. Distance. No, you don't have to touch my hand, just touch my soul. We keep physical distance, still be in touch with each other. We keep physical distance, still be in touch with each other. Haven't we found new bondings with our loved ones? Just ignore this breakdown and tell. Just ignore this breakdown and tell. How are you keeping in this trying time? Oh, my lover of distant relation. Isolation. Oh, stay away. Oh, stay away. The days have arrived to stay apart from each other. My world is confined in my own small room. But I badly needed to shelter in your bosom in this trying time. I wanted you to comb my hair softly with your fingers, caress me on your chest, and tell nothing has happened to you. Do not panic. Everything will be all right. But I'm scared. Yes, I'm scared. Are the days of togetherness are over forever? Yes, I'm scared. Are the days of togetherness over forever? Our mouths are covered by masks. Have the days of kisses are gone for good? But I believe, struggling against all odds, we will come out victorious. We will again fall in love, be peacefully, live peacefully in a calm world. That is our own only the only one the only dream we have. My poem reflects this eternal desire. This is called Poem After War. So many times, so many times we have been devastated. See, yet we have not got used to it. So many times we have been devastated. See, yet we have not got used to it. Still, it is so painful how we suffer every time. From every ruin, see, from the death, we are returning to our time of birth, returning with much labor, crawling. So many times we die, see, yet we do not believe in death. In the war fields, we grope for faces, fallen faces. Oh, faces of my parents, faces of my children, come on, wake up, the war is over. Before the next one, we will make homes again, we'll fall in love once more. Bearing weapon, will grow corpse in the fields up to horizon. So many times, so many times we have been burnt down, drifted away. Still, we do not believe in ruin. So many times we have been burnt down, drifted away. Still, we do not believe in ruin. We never forgot after all the destructions how the civilization goes on, how mankind wins. I want to write many more poems like it, but I know I have to wait. The time of love and peace will come after all the disasters are over for sure, but now I have to write like this. My testimony. I have given up being tender. I have given up being tender. I have chosen another way. It has taught me not to sell my pain. I say, I write love in a parallel path. I cry in romantic heartbreak. People think, why only protest has become my sole headache? Protest is necessary. Protest is necessary. Softness can wait. Mysticism, symbolism, half spoken signals. Of late, I have turned to poetry that is outspoken and glowing in sunlight on behalf of people. Thus, my poetry is trying to fight. That is the search. That is the search. That is its desire trail. My pain, it is honest and committed to humanity without fail. Along this path, I am fervently riding a horse, breathless. Along this path, I am fervently riding a horse, breathless. My art, my poetry is burnt with hunger, stress. Oh love, wait for me. Oh love, wait for me. After winning this war, I will again kneel down to you, and I hope, I believe those days are not far. Let me finish it up with a part of a long poem named The Imperishable. Here also I wanted to share my dream for ultimate victory of mankind in a truest sense. I wrote this poem in 2006 after hanging of Saddam Hussein. Uh, a whole civilization, ancient civilization, Mesopotamia was devastated by USA. They didn't ever realize what they have done. But this is a poem about that agony. This is a poem against war, against aggression, against meaningless violence all over the world. This is my last presentation. It goes like this: The Imperishable. This is the last poem. After everything is over, civilization asks only this. After everything is over, civilization asks only this. What will you do now with your arms so fatal? Deep below the ground, in the ruins of ancient cities, they will remain only as metals with other metals. They will sleep resting their heads on the skeletons' chests. Archaeologists will collect them too from the ruin. Then they will carry out study and research and tests. history will be written in the end, and in between, slowly will emerge out millions of faces in lines, millions of old broken homes, a woman's skull placed on a man's spine. The civilization lost is guarded by these gnomes. They will say, they who had burnt us to death owe their knowledge of use of fire to us. So many times we have perished, so many times, so many times, so many times we have perished. See, still we never lost our faith, for we knew we would come out victorious. We buried weapon into stone. We buried weapon into stone, the stone decayed into soil. We grew crops on it again and again through ages. On the other side of useless war, we had our fruitful toil. It was us who wrote life on art's pages. With time, their fields grow more fertile with flood from that river on whose milk and tears they live. After everything is perished, civilization whispers in their blood. So many times, so many times, so many times we die. Yet see, in death we never believe. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. This has been a unique, ecstatic experience to all of us. You really blew into us as a breeze, and you became a. We began in an interesting manner, then it was arresting, and now you left us disturbing. A revolutionary poet, a poet of protest, with the strings of love and protest in you, the reverberations that you have left in us, really fruitful moments that you have spent with us. Now, may I call upon Professor S. Joseph for his responses. Over to you, sir.
We are from Mandakranda. Mandakranda, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it's not clear enough.
ഞാൻ മലയാളത്തിൽ പറയാൻ ഞാൻ മന്ദാക്രാന്തയെ കാണുന്നത് ഭോപ്പാലിൽ വെച്ചാണ്. അവിടെ ഒരു കവിതാ പരിപാടിയിൽ ഞാനുണ്ടായിരുന്നു, മിസ്റ്റർ രേണുകുമാർ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. മന്ദാക്രാന്ത, യു റിമെമ്പർ രേണുകുമാർ ആൻഡ് അച്യുതാനന്ദൻ മാഷ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അവിടെ വെച്ചാണ് എൻ്റെ 3 days ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു പരിപാടിയായിരുന്നു. അവിടെ വെച്ചാണ് മന്ദാക്രാന്തയെ കാണുന്നത്. അന്നേ തന്നെ എനിക്ക് അവരുടെ പോയട്രി റൈറ്റിംഗ് മലയാളം ഫ്രണ്ട്സാണ്. Mandakranda, can you? I try to say you something that Maharaja's College had a department of Bengali. hard, not down. At that time, G. Shankarkurup, the Jnanapith Award winner, translated Gitanjali into Malayalam. That was the Department of Malayalam, Rajapura Karnakulam.
I can't hear clearly.
Yes, yes.
I can't hear clearly.
What?
I cannot hear clearly.
So she says she cannot hear you properly.
Okay. There was a there had a Bengali department in Maharaja's College.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. But now it is not. No longer. And Mandakranda is a political poet. He has love and protest, she says. We heard her words, simple words, analyzing her poetic life and protest, and how she sees the politics all around the world, and the attack or rape against the woman, Dalits as well as Brahmin, whoever they are, this is the condition of the Indian woman. Now we remember that today a statesman in Kerala said something against the woman. This is the case of women in India. They are always being raped and killed. And this Pandakranda's protest is very powerful, and she has a political view about poetry. Now we could understand the wholeness of her poetry and the wholeness of her being as a poet. Pandakranda. It was a wonderful talk, and many poems, particularly the last poems you sang was very good. And Pandakranda was a singer also. She had sang a song of Durga Stotra. I heard in Facebook, and it was written by her mother, Anila Sen, singer also. Thank you very much, Pandakranda. This is my response. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions in the comment box. Vaishnavi, we has really asked you some questions. If Vaishnavi is here, she herself can put up those questions. Vaishnavi, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, Vaishnavi, please ask the questions.
Miss Kelkavo.
Yes, you're audible.
How was the Pandaganda song changes from an ordinary woman to a famous Bengali poetess? How do you evaluate that change yourself? I have heard that you were first an MBBS student and last year you dropped out of MBBS and entered the world of poetry and literature completely. Why did you make such a decision? Have you ever had to grieve over this decision? What kind of reaction did you get from your family when you made such a decision? I have heard that you, the poet Mandagandasan, are a poet who reacts strongly on behalf of women against society's attitude towards them and against the dominance of men over women. May I ask something? The role of women in the field of literature is very low. What is the reason for the decrease in the role of women in our society, both at the administrative level and the other important levels? How do you, as a poet, react to this? Despite her talents, why is society often not recognized in the society? One of the two words we see our award announcement is that most of the awards go to men. What is the reaction to this? The first poem won the Andhra Puraskar Award in 2015. The Archive protested the incident and returned it is a protest against the order against the writers and rationalists. What was the reaction from the society after that? Which of the poems you have written has personally influenced you the most? And what is your reaction to it as a woman at a time when violence against women and children is one of the rights? Do you see literature as a tool for social criticism? Who was the person who attracted you the most? How did that person attracted you? Finally, one more thing. What do you have to say to people enduring the world of poetry and literature?
It was a long kind of. I cannot figure out the question. What's the question?
Shall I consolidate? She really wants to know the role of women, why women are sidelined in the field of literature, administrative levels, and many other important levels. And what is your response to that? And women writers are not getting many awards. Why is it so? Then the first question she asked, you have already answered in your presentation about your quitting MBBS and what was the reaction of others. And what do you want to say about to the budding writers? These are the major questions that she has asked you. Now, what do you want to say about the rise in violence against women and children these times?
Yes, that's a very relevant question. Anita Tampi, the renowned Malayalam poet, who is a great friend of mine, one of my beloved friends, she wrote in one of her articles that about women writers, about writing about article about writers. The women writers are mentioned in a penultimate paragraph, like they also ran. It's like that. So actually, in Bengal, in 19th century, 19th century, yes, there was there was a saying that if women read, if women study, they will be widows. Their husbands would die. So, the patriarchal society, they always denied the right of being expressing their themselves. The women, they denied the rights of they barred women from this kind of revelation. And it actually, we must about Gargi, Khona, Moitre, who are the very educated and very renowned literati of their times. After that, when the patriarchal society came around, the women, they were denied their rights. But then again, actually, when women wrote about their own lives, like their family and everything, what's going on in their surrounding them, around them, then they were very welcome. But when they started writing about bigger subjects like politics, economics, and humanity, and violence against violation, human and its violation, and then the patriarchal society wanted to stop them, because they became bare about, they became they naked. The patriarchal society became naked, that they are what they are doing about the women folk. So let's now we have emerged out from that dark phase. We are writing, and people still, the recognition is not at all what we should get, because we are considered as a weaker sex. We can do, we are not at par with our male counterparts. But now we are emerging out with our confident and brave pains. Now the time is being changed, and time is changing. Now we are trying to tell about our lives, and sexual liberation is one of the powerful things that happened amongst the women writers. We were considered as a weaker sex, but now we have discovered our sexuality as our power. So this is quite devastating for the male patriarchal society, because they actually looked down they tried to say that sexuality is a very private and very shameful thing to talk about, but people women are trying to do that, trying to talk about their sexuality, and that's their power, and that's their now they have become powerful writers and powerful poets. So time has changed, time is being changed, time will change again. More and more time will change more and more, and we will become stronger with our pens.
Thank you, ma'am, for that note of optimism and strength that you have transferred to all of us. Is there anyone who has to ask questions? Any more questions? I don't think so, ma'am. It's already 7:45, so you have taken great pains to write poetry and also to translate all these things in a couple of minutes to all of us. You could really experience the traumatic, full sense of emotions that you have had, you had gone through when you were penning all these things. So many tentacles of just like somebody writing late at night with hair undone, called like a witch. So many 10 pictures, they will loom up in us. That's a strength that we really have got from your talk. Now, I think it's time for us to wind up this very soulful, blissful, but all the more thoughtful session. So let me call upon Dr. Dhanya Panikkar, Assistant Professor of Malayalam, to deliver the vote of thanks.
നമ്മുടെ ഈ സെഷൻ വളരെ മനോഹരമായി കൈകാര്യം ചെയ്ത പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട സുജി ടീച്ചറിന് ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വം നന്ദി സൂചിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ മാമിന് ഞാൻ പറയേണ്ട ആവശ്യമില്ല, സുജി ടീച്ചർ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞു. എങ്കിൽ പോലും താങ്ക് യു മാം for your kind words. You taught us how situations and family mold a poet, and it's very important in that poetic life. Thank you, ma'am, for remembering your mother, your teachers, and your guru in literature. Once again, we wholeheartedly thank you for reciting your poems which mark desperate love, desire, identity of women, respect to men, and ultimate good of mankind. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful session. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട HOD ഈ എല്ലായ്പ്പോഴും എല്ലാ വെബിനാറിന്റെയും ശക്തി സ്രോതസ് ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട ജോസഫ് സാറാണ്. സാറിന് ഔപചാരികതയുടെ പേരിൽ ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വം നന്ദി സൂചിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. ഈ വെബിനാറിനെ സഫലമാക്കുന്നതിൽ ഞങ്ങളുടെ കോർഡിനേറ്ററായ മാത്യു ടി തോമസ് സാർ എടുത്ത എഫേർട്ട്, അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ശ്രീലക്ഷ്മി ടീച്ചർ, ലക്ഷ്മിപ്രിയ ടീച്ചർ, ജൂലിയ ടീച്ചർ, സുമി ടീച്ചർ, റഷീദ് സാറ്, ഇവരൊക്കെ നൽകിയ മുരളി സാർ, ഇവരൊക്കെ നൽകിയ ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വമുള്ള പിന്തുണ ഈ സന്ദർഭത്തിൽ ഓർമ്മിപ്പിക്കുന്നു. ഏതൊരു പരിപാടിയുടെയും വിജയം കുട്ടികളാണ്. ആ കുട്ടികളാണ്, അവർക്കാണ് ഏറ്റവും അധികം നമ്മൾ നന്ദി പറയേണ്ടത്. അവരെയും ഹൃദയപൂർവ്വം ഓർക്കുന്നു. എല്ലാവർക്കും ഒരിക്കൽ കൂടി ഹൃദയത്തിന്റെ ഭാഷയിൽ നന്ദി.